Welcome to the Borderlands, and this is the In Conversation, a round of discussion with subject experts and people that talk to you about different things. But today we are here to talk to someone who's worked and seen and has a lot of experience insofar as India and its relations with the neighborhood and various other countries, particularly China. He is Professor Srikanth Kondapalli. Welcome, sir, to the Borderlands.
Thank you very much.
He is the Dean of International Studies and a professor in Chinese Studies at the Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. Professor, welcome once again. And this is part of a new beginning, the Borderlands. It's an alternative platform, a storytelling platform that we are trying to provide to our people, a big audience. It includes people in the villages, in the hinterlands, it includes various other stakeholders to be able to understand what really goes on along our borderlands. And as you know, in the northeast, where we are right now and talking to you here in Shillong, we are surrounded by international borders. Today we would like to talk to you about particularly the focus on China, from your expertise on China, which is known all over the world, and we would be really glad if you walk us through what has been our position of late, especially after the alarming situation in the western sector where we've had Galwan and post-Galwan, but we've also been of late, I think, pretty much alarmed at how the situation is evolving in the eastern sector. So could you please walk us through what's in the eastern sector and how alarmed should we be about that?
Thank you very much for this invite to the Borderlands conversation. I think you're doing a great work, and let me congratulate you on the new initiative, which is quite strategic in nature given the kind of sensitivity that we have in this region, specifically in relation to China. So it is a great contribution for all your efforts in this direction. On the issue of our relations with China and the border areas so we have about 3,488 kilometers long border with China, although the Chinese say they have only 2,000 kilometers of border with India, because they do not recognize Jammu and Kashmir as part of India, and till recently, till 2003, they have not recognized Sikkim as part of India. So there is this variation between Chinese and Indian perceptions about the border, number one. The second aspect is that, as you know, on June 15 night 2020, there was the clash between Indian and Chinese soldiers. There is fist fights, stowing thrones. The Chinese have a very innovative way of warfare. They used barbed wire fencing bats to beat up the Indian soldiers. They also had the nail-studded sticks. So it was quite barbaric, the way the incident happened in Galwan on June 15 night. And since then we have a kind of armed stalemate on the border between India and China. So Chinese reportedly mobilized about 70,000 troops in the Ladakh region, in Aksai Chin Ladakh region. We mobilized, I think, about 120,000 troops all across the line of actual control, including in Arunachal Pradesh and other areas. We already have about 11 mountain divisions, but these are defensive formations. So if there is a war, they just defend the borders. But we also have a strike corps which is in the making. Generally three divisions are there for the strike corps, and 2 divisions have already been raised. And of course, in between we diverted some money for the Indian naval ships. You may have seen the aircraft carrier.
Right.
So there is some diversion, because we felt that maritime areas are more important than the mundane continental border areas, and so there was some shift in this process. So the Galwan resulted in an armed stalemate between the two sides, and after that we completely shut down our bilateral relations with China.
Right.
As the External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar mentioned, unless until peace and tranquility prevails on the border, we will not have any bilateral relations with China. Of course, we had trade. We probably even had some border trade in Shipkila, Lipu Lake, Nathula, and others. But this is not quite substantial. In any case, the border trade between India and China is no more than $100 million, while the overall land, overall maritime trade is about $115 billion last year. So maritime, there is a lot of emphasis on, and since Borderlands also focuses on border trade and so on,
Yes.
there is the proposal from the previous Arunachal Pradesh Chief Minister to open up some 9 border trade posts with China, which obviously the Chinese also have rejected because there is a sovereignty dispute there, and if you put up a border trade post, it also means your sovereign marker.
Right.
And hence there is the reluctance on the part of China to introduce any of those things. So overall, we are in a stalemate condition. Overall, we have not been able to interact with China at the political, diplomatic, military or others, except for the 16 Corps Commander meetings that we have had since June 2020. And so far we had 16 rounds, and the last round was slightly progressive because the Chinese finally relented to withdraw or disengage troops in Hot Springs, Gogra Heights. And we still have about 6 more areas where they have to do the disengagement and de-escalation. So from that point of view, the entire border, we call the line of actual control, is still in a very tense situation, including in Arunachal Pradesh.